imcanwnc.org.
Oh my goodness, yes, indeed. You're hearing this voice, the voice of mine. That's Joe Berg, host of the Scoreboard. We are back after a few days off, and yeah, it feels good. Man, it feels good. We got a lot to go over today. There's a lot of discussion that we need to have. Yesterday, we had some Cup Series racing from Chicago Street Course. There's a lot to dissect there. Whew. What a weekend. Saturday. You know, Saturday was the Xfinity race. And honestly, I think I might have enjoyed the Xfinity race a little bit more in terms of the actual racing. Now, the entertainment on track, nothing beat the Cup Series because, once again, Chicago Street Course, it was a mess. There was a lot of water. There was rain. There was darkness. All of these things happening at the Chicago Street Course on Sunday. But that's not the only thing that we're going to talk about today. You know, we had a driver other than Max Verstappen win in the Formula One race this weekend from Great Britain. We might touch on that a little bit. Also, there's some news out there. Man, the Copa Americas are going on. The Euros are going on. We have all-star lineups being announced. The all-star roster was announced last week. We didn't have a chance to really talk about it because we were gone. We were off here at WSIC. Also, remember earlier I think it was like about a month ago now at this point, Dan Hurley, the UConn head coach, possibly not being the UConn head coach. He was thinking about going to the Lakers. Well, that didn't happen. They ended up signing J.J. Redick. Well, now Dan Hurley has a new deal with UConn. Yeah, they already said, you know what? We're going to give you a new deal. And even though it's not anywhere near as much as the Lakers were offering him, it's still a new deal, and it's still leverage that was played by Dan Hurley to get this new contract. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well because, boy, oh boy, the Lakers feel like they're a mess. They do. And even with Bronny James being drafted, LeBron coming back, it still feels like a mess over there. 844-STUDIO-4. That is the phone number if you want to be a part of the program. Anything you want to chat about, phone lines are open for you. We're also going to talk Major League Baseball as we are awfully close to the All-Star game. Only 8 days away. July 16th is when that will begin. And I have some rosters for you. I have some notable names. I got the pitchers. I got the reserves for you as well. And now we're starting to hear about some players entering into the Home Run Derby. Yes, the Home Run Derby. The 94th Midsummer Classic presented by MasterCard is July 16th at Globe Life Field. That'll be at 8 o'clock on Fox. Now, Globe Life Field, if you don't know, that's in Arlington, home of the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers, yeah, they were the World Series champions. So you win a World Series, I think that's how it should be, honestly. If you win a World Series, you get to host the All-Star game. It should be like that in all sports. NHL, NBA. You know, whoever wins the championship should host the All-Star game. I think that's a good idea. Maybe some cities that don't normally get an All-Star game can start to host. Just a little bit of a thought. But we are going to start things off by talking about the NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series. No, we're not going to stick with just one or the other. Now, I had a race on Saturday at the Chicago Street Course. We had a race on Sunday at the Chicago Street Course, and there was a lot of news that came with it. Let's start in the Xfinity Series. Yes, the NASCAR Xfinity Series Breaking news from earlier today. AM Racing has parted ways with driver Hailie Deegan effective immediately. Man, I had a feeling this was going to be the result. So we talked a little bit about it last week, I believe, on either Monday or Tuesday. Joey Logano was going to be placed in the number 15 car that Hailie Deegan had been driving for a majority of the year. 26.8 average finish, 4 results of 20th or better. She is last out of drivers who started every race prior to the Chicago Street Course. So it wasn't a good rookie campaign for Deegan. And that was shown after Joey Logano filled in for the race on Saturday and ended up driving it to a top 10 finish. Now, there's a lot of conversation about Hailie Deegan and her skills, and I do want to touch on this a little bit because I think it's important. Hailie Deegan is a big name in the NASCAR world. If you follow NASCAR, you've heard that name, man, like 4 years ago you started hearing that name probably. Well, the K&N Pro Series, she makes her way through that. She goes to ARCA for 1 year, doesn't win a race, and then immediately moves into the Truck Series. Spends a few years there, doesn't win a race, and then gets moved up to Xfinity without a win. There is talent behind that car, behind the wheel. That driver has talent. Hailie Deegan is a talented race car driver. The problem is something that we see with a lot of drivers, a lot of people who are able to be marketed easily. And yes, this is all about marketing. They moved Hailie Deegan up the ranks because she's a girl, number one, in NASCAR, which doesn't come around all that often where somebody is very promising. So they move her up through the ranks and say, hey, look, Hailie Deegan, she's moving up through the ranks. But she wasn't ready. She was absolutely not ready. So AM Racing signs her to an Xfinity contract for the year, her rookie campaign, and it falls apart because she wasn't ready. 22 years old, not ready. Some drivers have the natural talent to just move through the ranks and be competitive. And most drivers don't have that talent. You got to work. Look at, man, I want to draw so many comparisons to other drivers, but the comparison that you should not be drawing is the driving talent of Hailie Deegan compared to the driving talent of Joey Logano. Joey Logano is a 2-time Cup Series champion, okay? Hailie Deegan is still a 22-year-old. I really hope Deegan lands on her feet because she is a good driver, and it'd be a wonderful story if she can come back from this, but man, just everybody's got to pump the brakes. She's not a bust. She's not terrible. If you listened to the radio communication during the Chicago Street Race on Saturday between Logano and the crew chief of the 15 car, Logano was teaching the crew chief how to fix the car. He was like, hey, this is what the car is doing. And the crew chief was like, so should we do this or this? That's not a team that was built for success right there. I feel bad for Deegan. I do. And we're going to go to a commercial break. We're going to talk more about the Xfinity Series, but that is the breaking news from today. Hailie Deegan out of a ride in the Xfinity Series. It's tough. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the other side of the break, as well as the NASCAR Cup Series, which was on Sunday. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a lot of folks across the Lake Norman area getting some much-needed rain over the past weekend, although a lot of that rain in a short amount of time, of course, led to some localized flash flooding in a few spots. That'll continue as we kick off a new work week now. Not quite as hot, but still grossly humid. We're up around 90 this afternoon with scattered showers and thunderstorms developing in the afternoon and evening, and we'll copy and paste that for most of the upcoming work week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like ISI Denver.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. This Thursday, July 11th, Untethered Soul makes their Langtree Live debut. The band is a unique, creative, soulful reimagination of the music that shaped American culture. Grab your chairs and head to Langtree in Mooresville for the 7 p.m. performance of Untethered Soul with frontman Nick Prestia. This Friday, Trailers of the East Coast in Mocksville present the Wilson Strong Cookout. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., stop by for a barbecue plate and sides in support of Matt Wilson. We'll see you at Trailers of the East Coast in Mocksville this Friday to support Matt with the Wilson Strong Cookout. On Friday, Envision rocks Liberty Park in downtown Mooresville. This first-class dynamic vocal group delivers a high-energy stage show complete with professional choreography and silky smooth harmonies. Liberty Park in downtown Mooresville welcomes you to the Envision concert on Friday night. The Kane Center for the Arts Week 5 of summer camps begins Monday, July 15th. Morning and afternoon camps for ages 4 to 15 include ceramics, drawing, painting, mosaic, mixed media art, and more. The Davidson Community Players present Footloose the Musical on August 8th, 9th, and 10th. For more information on summer camp programs and the theater schedule and tickets, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series heats up the track each week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 10-race series night number 8 is on Tuesday, July 16th. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Your Tuesdays just got a lot better. The Good Soul, a feel-good show that dives into the stories of extraordinary people, is headed to WSIC. Host Patty Alvarez brings a sit-down, fun conversation to the airwaves to give you an early week pick-me-up.
Number one for talk in Lake Norman, Statesville.
105.9, 100.7, WSIC. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9, 100.7, WSIC.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are absolutely back in studio live here on this Monday. Oh, I really hope everybody is being safe on their drive home today. I know it's beautiful out there. I can see the sun shining from the studio. I don't know how hot it is out there, though. I know it's been pretty warm recently. But hopefully everybody's being safe on their drive home on this Monday. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. You're listening to the Scoreboard with me, your host, Joe Berg, talking a little NASCAR Xfinity Series action. Yes, we're talking about the Xfinity Series. Raise your hand if you thought that on after July 6th, because that's when the Xfinity race was, Shane Van Gisbergen would be number one in wins in the Xfinity Series. I did not have that on my bingo card. I didn't. But here we are through 18 races of the Xfinity Series. In the playoff picture, Shane Van Gisbergen has the most wins with 3. All of them road courses, might I add. And one thing that is good for him is he's gotten those wins. He's locked himself into the playoffs, and he's given himself a nice cushion in those playoffs. The other thing is we do have road courses in the playoffs this year. And in the Xfinity Series, even though there aren't 16 drivers, 4 rounds, it's 12 drivers, 3 rounds. In that first round, we go to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we are not going to be racing the oval. No, they're going on the Roval there. So maybe a chance for SVG to get win number 4 and lock himself into the round of 8. By then, if he got another win, man, it'd be hard to see him not making it to the championship race. but that's a long way away. We have a lot of races left. But SVG, the winner, Shane Van Gisbergen, gets the win in the Xfinity Series on Saturday. Now, let me tell you this. I watched that Xfinity race. 20 laps into the race, I was sold. I was completely sold on the Chicago street course. I was ready to make it a staple road course of NASCAR. The battle between Van Gisbergen and Larson at the beginning of the race was amazing. And they couldn't pull away from each other. They swapped the lead plenty of times. And they were checked out from the field. And then, cautions come out, strategy plays happen. SVG ends up working his way through the field faster than the Larson did. So it wasn't as close of a finish as we thought it might be at the beginning. But SVG ends up getting the win. At that point, after Saturday, he was 2 for 2 in the Chicago street race, winning in the Cup Series in his first start. And then in the first trip to Chicago in the Xfinity Series, he gets the win. His third of the season, by the way. Now, I do want to give you a quick standings update, regular season standings update for the Xfinity Series, because while SVG does have 3 wins on the year now, he is not top dog in the Xfinity Series. That would go to Cole Custer, who is 38 points in front of Justin Allgaier and 39 points in front of Chandler Smith. Cole Custer still yet to get a win on the year, as has Riley Herbst, AJ Allmendinger, and Sheldon Creed, and Parker Klingerman. So we got quite a few drivers in the top 10 of the Xfinity points not winning a race yet. As we looked forward to the Sunday race, the first thing that happened Sunday was pretty early in the morning. Formula One racing from Great Britain. Yes. Lewis Hamilton. We remember that name? One of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time at this point. Plenty of championships to go with him. I think he has 7 at this point. He gets a win. What might be his last win in a Mercedes car at Great Britain, his home racetrack. So congratulations are due there. It was actually a pretty good Formula One race. And while we're on the topic, we've talked about Formula One a little bit here on the show. The reason we haven't talked about it much lately is because Max Verstappen was dominating. And when I say dominating, I mean he won like 20 races in a row. It was something astronomical. Well, all of a sudden, he's not dominating anymore. We're seeing other people win. We're seeing other cars actually put a fight to the Red Bull of Verstappen. So it's getting more entertaining on the Formula One side of things again. And it ebbs and flows, it's kind of like what NASCAR used to be. Sometimes the championship would be decided really early in the season. Sometimes it'd go to the last race and you wouldn't know who was going to win. This is one of those years where we probably know who the champion in Formula One is going to be. It's more than likely going to be Max Verstappen, as he still holds over a 70-point lead in the points. But when we look at the field of cars, it is obvious that the gap between the top and the middle of the field is shrinking. Verstappen is not dominating the way he once did. And I kind of want to make a point of this. You don't see drivers in NASCAR pull away to an 18-second lead. It doesn't happen the way you sometimes see it happen in Formula One. I was listening to Jeff Gordon do a sit-down interview with Joe Berg. And it was about an hour-long conversation. If you're interested in what it is, it's called Life in the Fast Lane, Undeniable with Joe Berg. It's Jeff Gordon, NASCAR Wonder Boy. And I'm listening to the interview, and Jeff Gordon's talking about his time dominating NASCAR and when he would go out there and just whoop the field. And NASCAR told him in these words, he says, NASCAR told us, "You're stinking up the show." meaning he would dominate so bad that nobody wanted to watch. So with a little nudge from NASCAR, whenever Gordon got out to a 4-second lead, he would let up, and that lead would not grow more than 4 seconds. A revelation in my eyes. For me, it was a revelation because it made me realize, okay, this is all about entertainment now. NASCAR has stuck their nose where it shouldn't be and said, stop dominating like this. Because if you're going to get out to a 10, 15, 20-second lead, nobody is going to watch. So they stopped doing that. And I don't know if they even can do that anymore with the way the cars are, but you just don't see it. The leaders are pretty close in the Cup Series now. But back in the day, you could dominate. I've seen results from like the 70s and 80s, 2-lap lead on everybody. That's not fun. And then you have NASCAR stuck their nose in and said, stop dominating like that because nobody wants to watch when you do that. And it is true. Nobody wants to watch when you dominate like that. But I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit about NASCAR. Now, when you compare it to Formula One, I guess Formula One doesn't care about the entertainment aspect of it because they'll let their guys just get out to a, 50-second lead. Verstappen was dominating for a while. Not the case anymore. Just a quick little tidbit there. After the Formula One race, you had IndyCar. I don't know how many people actually care about IndyCar, to be honest with you. If it's not the Indianapolis 500, who cares? They were at Mid-Ohio. So when that ended, we finally got to Cup Series racing. By that time, it was 5 o'clock Eastern. 4 o'clock in Chicago. And we know from last year that the Chicago street course does not have street lights, so we're not racing in the dark. And then the rain came a little bit later on in the race, in the middle of the second stage. Actually, before the end of the first stage, I believe. And that's where we were. Chicago, with rain, with impending darkness. It kind of sounds like last year all over again. And I get it. NBC had the Xfinity or the IndyCar race earlier in the day, so they couldn't really start the Cup race until coverage switched over to them. But at the same time, you're starting this race at 4 o'clock Central with a 4.5-hour window to get this race in with rain in the forecast. Seems like poor planning. And I don't know what the contingency plans were if it continued to rain. If we didn't get to halfway, did NASCAR have a meeting with the city of Chicago and said, hey, if we can't get this race done, we're going to have to race on Monday? You know, this isn't like using a racetrack where it's all confined and it doesn't matter. You just show up. Whoever needs to show up can show up. No, this is an actual street that pedestrians are using, that streetcars are using. So I don't know if NASCAR would have been able to get the race done on a Monday, but they figured it out. They went back racing in the wets. And your winner for the first time this year was Alex Bowman. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Cup Series race. And I got a 1-minute race recap for you from the Motor Racing Network. Don't go anywhere. More NASCAR talk on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Scoreboard. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a lot of folks across the Lake Norman area getting some much-needed rain over the past weekend, although a lot of that rain in a short amount of time, of course, led to some localized flash flooding in a few spots. That'll continue as we kick off a new work week now. Not quite as hot, but still grossly humid. We're up around 90 this afternoon with scattered showers and thunderstorms developing in the afternoon and evening, and we'll copy and paste that for most of the upcoming work week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
If you need home medical equipment, call Lowry Drug in Statesville. We have everything you need in stock, including portable oxygen concentrators, CPAPs, masks, lift chairs, wheelchairs, scooters, hospital beds, supplies, and anything else you need. Get it when you need it. Check out LowryDrug.com or call 704-873-2247. Lowry Drug, your hometown source since 1959, across from Iredell Memorial Hospital. We are worth the drive. Come see us.
Hi, this is Susan. I'm excited to let you know that Lake Mountain Coffee is now available for private events. A beautiful historic building with its 360-degree mezzanine has hosted many private parties, catered diners, and even an actual wedding. Please contact Andy at 704-252-1886 for more information. Thank you so much.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. G-O-L-D, gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
More than a century ago, Bunch Johnson Funeral Home was founded on compassion. Let us assist you with pre-planning for funerals and cremations. Our family is here when you need us. Bunch Johnson Funeral Home.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. One of the unfortunate things about sports fans is that we often take excellence for granted. We get used to great players or coaches being great that we can lose perspective and not appreciate them like we should. When it comes to our own lives, it is easy for us to take God for granted as well. We forget to appreciate that He sent Jesus to die for us and offers us eternal life. He saved us from our sin, yet we don't pause enough to be grateful for that reality. Each day, we need to keep the right perspective and reflect on how amazing God is and truly appreciate all that He has done for us. Today, let's make Psalm 105:4-5 our guide. Seek the Lord and His strength. Seek His presence continually. Remember the wondrous works that He has done, His miracles, and the judgments He uttered. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to thesportsdevotional.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. When it happened in March, it triggered a federal safety review of United Airlines. Now it has happened again. Another of United's Boeing airplanes, a 757-200, lost a main landing gear, a wheel, while taking off. Nobody was hurt. The plane took off from L.A. and landed in Denver. The tire was found in L.A. In March, a flight on its way to Japan lost a wheel but was diverted to Los Angeles. Boeing's agreement in principle with the Justice Department to plead guilty to a felony charge of misleading air safety investigators could cost it government contracts. Businesses with felony convictions can be suspended or barred as defense contractors. So Boeing's working with the Defense Department to try to find a way to keep its government contracts. They accounted for about a third of Boeing's total revenue last year. On Wall Street, another day of records for the NASDAQ and S&P, with gains of 0.1% to more than 0.25%. The Dow fell 0.1%, 31 points. The NASDAQ rose 51, the S&P 6. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Hello. How's everyone doing? I think you can hear me. May have done something here. But we're back. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. Phone number if you want to be a part of the program. Program is the Scoreboard. We're talking sports for the next, about 25 minutes or so. So if you have something you want to talk about, you better get in here now. We were talking about the NASCAR Cup Series. Street racing from Chicago. Here is your 1-minute race recap from the Motor Racing Network.
Welcome to the Chicago Street Race. They make the turn out onto the front straightaway. The green flag is in the air, and we are underway.
Oh, into the wall. Shane Van Gisbergen loses traction. 2 of the top 5 cars, Briscoe and Van Gisbergen, in the fence here in turn 6.
Shane Van Gisbergen said that they really got into the fence hard, and he has killed the race car. He's getting out of the car.
NASCAR's elected to bring the field to the pit lane. Going to put the red flag out. There is a lot of standing water on the race course. Green flag goes back in the air, and we're racing again on the streets of Chicago.
Here's Bowman. This time he sticks the nose of his Chevrolet deep into turn number 4. He wrestles the lead away from Joey Hand.
The dry spell is over for Alex Bowman. 1 90-degree right-hand turn remains. He makes it perfectly out onto the front straightaway. Checkered flag is in the air, and Alex Bowman has won in the streets of Chicago.
Alex Bowman clinching a playoff spot. I got to be honest, I did not think that Alex Bowman was going to be the winner at the Chicago Street Course. Okay, I never in a million years would have picked him. But that's what happened. Alex Bowman locks himself into the playoffs. Now, this was an interesting race. There was a lot that happened. Okay, so initially, you have a start of the race that looked pretty good. Then the rain came. Then nobody could drive because NASCAR drivers don't know how to drive in the rain. And then Chase Briscoe kamikazed SVG, so we wouldn't have a repeat winner. It wasn't going to happen. And then, after that, they threw the red flag because it was raining too much. They waited until somebody's car got destroyed to say, let's throw the red flag and do this, okay? Here's my problem. Here's the problem I have. I don't care that Chase Briscoe couldn't control his car. I don't care that SVG didn't get to even have a shot to defend his throne that was the winner of the Chicago Street Race. What I'm mad about is that NASCAR continues to tell us that we have wet weather tires and then they don't race in the wet. What is the point? Every other racing entity in the world just races in the rain at road courses. Go figure it out. If you're going to hydroplane, maybe you should slow down. I don't understand it. These are professional race car drivers, and we treat them like they're infants. I don't know how else to put it. But we continue to see. Now, I understand it on the ovals because nobody is doing this. NASCAR is the one who is setting the example on the ovals. So I understand the ovals. You know, you might not want to push your luck with racing in rain tires. But on street courses, on a road course, like, what's the problem here? Why don't you just put these drivers out there and say, okay, go figure it out? Is it the tires? Because if it's the tires, then you're not ready for for wet road racing. You're not ready for it. So why do you keep bringing the tires? And they eventually went back racing. You know, they significantly dried off the track first. So we didn't even get to see a wet weather race. 20 laps in, it was dry. And you could see that with Christopher Bell closing in on the lead, Tyler Reddick closing in on the lead. Man, Ty Gibbs probably should have won that race. For a second, I thought 4 different people were going to win. I thought, oh my goodness, Joey Hand is going to win this race. And then it was, oh my goodness, Alex Bowman's going to get it done. And then it was, oh, wait a second, it's dry now. Here comes Christopher Bell. He gets spun out. Ty Gibbs makes an absolutely horrible pass where I don't know why he tried to go to the outside on a street course. That was a horrible decision. Tyler Reddick gets by him, runs Bowman down, and then puts his car into the wall in the entrance of the corner. What a mess the end of that race was. But it was a lot of fun. I have such a love-hate relationship with this track right now because, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is. I can't lie. It's fun to watch. But at the same time, it can get embarrassing. And when we saw what we saw after the rain came, Josh Berry wrecked his car like 4 times. It looked like Stuart Haas Racing gave up during this race. You had the 23, Bubba Wallace. He got taken out in the rain by the eventual race winner. And I mean, he got taken out. People have a problem with Bubba knocking fenders with the 48 after the race. Who cares? He ruined his race. Let him do it. We wouldn't care if it was anybody else. Why do you care when Bubba does it? Oh, wait, I know why you care when Bubba does it. So Alex Bowman locks himself into the playoffs. It doesn't shake up the standings too much, in my opinion. He was already in on points before this win, so it just kind of reduced the number of drivers who are going to be in on points. Right now, there's only 4 spots available for points race. Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, and Chris Buescher are the last 4 drivers in the playoffs without a win. We have Pocono, Indianapolis, and then a break. We take a 2-week break. Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, and Darlington. That's plenty of races. That's 6 races left. In case you needed help on your math, which I'm sure you didn't. Who's to say we don't get 5 different winners? I am waiting for the year that we have 17 winners in 26 races, and we have to say, yeah, one of you guys who won a race actually isn't going to be locked into the playoffs. That's going to be a fun day. But we're not there yet. I don't think it's going to be this year because of the tracks we have left and because of the drivers who have yet to win. You're probably going to see the 19 get a win at some point this year. Yes, you know who I'm talking about. The 19 car, Martin Truex Jr. He's probably going to get a win. Wouldn't it be something if Kyle Busch can find himself a way to victory lane? Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs, all of those guys, yeah, they're wild cards. I mean, Buescher won 3 races last year. He hasn't won yet this year. Kyle Busch has won a race in 19 consecutive seasons. He hasn't won a race yet. Bubba Wallace, still looking for his first win of the season. There's a lot that still has to be done in the NASCAR Cup Series. And the Chicago Street Course gave us a new winner, shook up the playoff picture very slightly. And now we look forward to Pocono. I don't know if it's a good track or not, but we go to Pocono next weekend. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. We're coming into the last commercial break of the program here on this Monday. When we come back, we're going to get into Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up and some rosters. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a lot of folks across the Lake Norman area getting some much-needed rain over the past weekend, although a lot of that rain in a short amount of time, of course, led to some localized flash flooding in a few spots. That'll continue as we kick off a new work week now. Not quite as hot, but still grossly humid. We're up around 90 this afternoon with scattered showers and thunderstorms developing in the afternoon and evening, and we'll copy and paste that for most of the upcoming work week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. This Thursday, July 11th, Untethered Soul makes their Langtree Live debut. The band is a unique, creative, soulful reimagination of the music that shaped American culture. Grab your chairs and head to Langtree in Mooresville for the 7 p.m. performance of Untethered Soul with frontman Nick Prestia. This Friday, Trailers of the East Coast in Mocksville present the Wilson Strong Cookout. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., stop by for a barbecue plate and sides in support of Matt Wilson. We'll see you at Trailers of the East Coast in Mocksville this Friday to support Matt with the Wilson Strong Cookout. On Friday, Envision rocks Liberty Park in downtown Mooresville. This first-class dynamic vocal group delivers a high-energy stage show complete with professional choreography and silky smooth harmonies. Liberty Park in downtown Mooresville welcomes you to the Envision concert on Friday night. The Kane Center for the Arts Week 5 of summer camps begins Monday, July 15th. Morning and afternoon camps for ages 4 to 15 include ceramics, drawing, painting, mosaic, mixed media art, and more. The Davidson Community Players present Footloose the Musical on August 8th, 9th, and 10th. For more information on summer camp programs and the theater schedule and tickets, visit canearts.org. That's C-A-I-N arts.org. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series heats up the track each week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 10-race series night number 8 is on Tuesday, July 16th. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Rev up your dreams with a bike from Tilly Harley-Davidson. Whether you're new to Harley or a seasoned pro, Tilly has the bike for you. Come experience the freedom of the ride. Feel the thrill of the road and the thunder that only a Harley can provide. Stop by Tilly Harley-Davidson of Statesville or go to TillyHD.com.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
And we're back. Final segment here on the Scoreboard. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. So if you have something you want to say, now's the time to say it. Do you disagree with me on my NASCAR takes? Probably. Probably. Do you like the Chicago street course? Man, it's growing on me. It is. It's growing on me. But we're done talking NASCAR. We spent pretty much almost all the show talking NASCAR. Well, it was a big weekend, though, for NASCAR with the Chicago street course. But now we head to Pocono. We're going to wait a few days probably before we start talking Pocono unless we have some news breaking. So don't expect too much Pocono coverage until later on in the week. Right now, we got to give you an update on what's going on in Major League Baseball because we're only a few days away from the Midsummer Classic. July 16th at Globe Life Field. That's over in Texas. Texas Rangers home field. The World Series champions. I have your starters for the American League. I don't see any real surprises here. Adley Rutschman is the catcher. Vlad Guerrero Jr. at first base. Jose Altuve, second base. Jose Ramirez, third base. Gunnar Henderson, shortstop. Your outfielders are Aaron Judge, Stephen Kwan, and Juan Soto. Designated hitter, Yordan Alvarez. Now, this is an interesting year for the All-Star game. There are 32 players that received their first ever All-Star selection. Pretty good right there. 36 players with their first ever All-Star selection. On the National League side of things, Will Contreras. Willie Contreras. The catcher. Bryce Harper, first base. Ketel Marte, second base. Alex Baum, third base. Trey Turner, shortstop. Jerickson Profar, the outfielder, along with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Christian Yelich. Who else but Shohei Ohtani as the designated hitter? Now, there's no surprise there. Ohtani, one of the best batters in baseball right now. And your leading vote getters, now we talked about it. It was Aaron Judge as well as Bryce Harper. So those two players, no matter what, they're going to be starting. They're going to be playing. They're going to be like the captains of this team, I guess. And we're almost at the 100-game mark in the MLB season. And even with being close to 100 games played, it is still early in the season. You're going to get sick and tired of me saying that. And why do I say it's early? Well, the New York Yankees are a great example of it's still early. The New York Yankees started the season 49-21. A very good start to the year. Since that start, they have gone 6-16. They have the worst record in baseball since June 15th. Why is this significant? Well, you got to look at the history here. 2023, the Yankees missed the playoffs. They started 36-25 before they played sub 500 for the rest of the year. In 2020, and we talked about this a little bit. In 2022, the Yankees started the year 49-16. 49-16, a great record to start the year. They played 500 baseball for the rest of the year after that. So it was just an okay season. That's a trend, no matter how you look at it. They started this year 49-21, 6-16 since. Yankees have fallen off of a cliff, and since they've fallen off of a cliff, the Baltimore Orioles have taken advantage, now boasting a 3-game lead in the AL East. I know producer Bill is happy with that. But there's still such a long way to go. Now, I know the Yankees falling apart in June seems to be the trend over the past 3 years or so. Who knows? Maybe the Orioles fall apart and all of a sudden the Boston Red Sox get hot and take the AL East. Who knows? The Orioles, Guardians, and Mariners are your division leaders in the American League. In the National League, the Phillies, Brewers, and Dodgers. The only really close races right now, and this can change because, 7, 8, 9 games isn't hard to overcome in about 70, 80 games. But the closest races right now are the AL West, where the Seattle Mariners lead the Houston Astros by 2 games, and the AL East, where the Orioles and Yankees are separated by 3. And it might not seem like that's a close division right now because of how poorly the New York Yankees have been playing recently, but that is where they stand. I would expect the St. Louis Cardinals, who have been making a pretty good push here recently, to start competing in the NL Central. I don't see the Padres battling with the Dodgers for the NL West. And, man, I want to say that the Braves have a chance, but it is really tough for the Braves after big loss in their lineup. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-STUDIO-4. By the way, I was talking about Ronald Acuna. He got hurt early in the year, tore his ACL. He's done. Done for the year. Done for the year. Let's relax. So who is the favorite right now in baseball? I got to say the Phillies. They continued to win even without Schwarber, even without Bryce Harper in the lineup. So that is a pretty good indication that that is going to be a tough team to beat come October and November. But before we even get there, we got to get to the All-Star game. And with the All-Star game, you also have the Home Run Derby. Yeah, we actually have a few players who have already declared for the Home Run Derby. Gunnar Henderson will be participating for the first time. Gunnar Henderson is third in the league in home runs, only behind Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. It looks like Pete Alonso will be competing in the Derby. Bobby Witt Jr. That was a little bit of an interesting one to me. Known more for his speed than anything, but he'll be in the All-Star game, or in the Home Run Derby, I should say. And Marcell Ozuna of the Braves. He's got 23 home runs so far this year. He is going to be participating in the Derby as well. Now, the lineup isn't completely set yet. There's still more people who have to declare that they're going to be participating, but this is the beginnings of the Home Run Derby. I don't think the Home Run Derby is fun anymore. Sue me. It used to be fun when you had 10 outs and it was hit as many home runs as you can before you make 10 outs. And an out is swinging at a pitch and not hitting a home run. Now it's you have this much time to hit home run. And if you hit 2 home runs farther than 440 feet, we're going to give you an extra 30 seconds. And by the way, you can call a timeout and we're going to accumulate your scores for a little bit. Then we're not going to do it. It's a mess what the All-Star game and what the, well, not the All-Star game, but the Home Run Derby has become. It's a mess. And the worst part of the Home Run Derby now, okay, let's back up. Here's my problem with the Home Run Derby. When you're watching it on TV, the pitcher throws a pitch, the batter hits it, and the TV follows the ball in a half screen, while on the other half screen, you see the next pitch before the ball has even landed. Half of the lore of the Home Run Derby is watching the ball to see how far it lands and hearing, I guess, it's not Chris Berman anymore, but it should be, hearing back, gone. God, I miss that. And now it's just, yeah, we're going to throw you 15 pitches as quick as I can, and you're going to hit it. And while the ball is in the air, we're going to throw another pitch. Slow down. Wait a little bit. Let us enjoy it. Like, what's the rush here? That's my problem with the Home Run Derby. I know. Petty. This day in sports history, as we've entered the final minute of the show already, on this day in 2014, the FIFA World Cup, Germany defeated Brazil by a record score of 7-1 in the semifinals. That game still gets talked about to this day. 7-1 final score. Also on this day, 1994, preliminary trial rules there is enough evidence to try O.J. Simpson. That was on this day, 1994. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Scoreboard. Appreciate you guys rocking with me on your drive home from work. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a great night, everyone.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7. WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.